right, let's do it. So everybody on the call, this is Grant Horvath and Ben Cole at ERP Connect Consulting. We're hopping into our bonus session of Toolbox Tuesdays this week. It's going to be on our brand new payment plans extension. So without anything else being said here, let's dive into the agenda. If anyone has any questions, by the way, you know how we roll. Throw them in the chat. Throw some emojis if you like something. We'll get it going. So what we're going to go over today for payment plans is we are going to start with the current gaps in Business Central out of the box. We are going to dive into how payment plan solves those gaps. Ben's going to hop into a 30 to 35-minute live demo. We'll go through the next steps on how you can get this free trial downloaded, talk through our resources, and we'll wrap up. So let's get started with the gaps. Number one, there is no current way to do payment plans or payment installments for a customer or for a vendor. Y'all will probably notice what we usually say is there's no easy way, but right now in BC, there actually is no way to do anything around payment plans or installments. There's also no visibility into AR or AP aging and cash forecast for the customer payment plans or for the vendor payment plans or installments in BC. So what are the solutions? Number one, installment payments for sales orders and invoices, along with purchase orders and invoices as well. Remember, this is on the customer and the vendor side. Utilizing payment terms to create payment plans for purchase and sales documents, the creation of multiple customer vendor ledger entries based on payment plan and installment plan, and finally, the ability to apply cash individually to each installment. Now, y'all know us. Without further ado, now that we have the gaps and solutions in mind, let's dive into our live demo. Over to you, Ben.
Awesome. Thank you, Grant. And just to confirm, you can see the Business Central instance I've got up here for our demo.
Confirmed.
Awesome. Sweet. So like Grant said, we're going to be going through our payment plans extension today. What you'll notice is a lot of things plug right into some of the out-of-box modules like the payment terms in Business Central, as well as the ability to default these on customers and vendors. So I'm just going to jump right into the setup because it'll only take about 60 seconds to set up. As you know, a lot of our tools, we try to get them set up as quickly as possible and as easy for the end users out there. So this is our payment plans extension setup page. As you'll notice, we have our activation, which is the same as all of our others. You can go ahead and download it, get your free demo, and then once you're done with that 30-day demo, reach out to us for that activation key. When you're actually setting this up, literally all you need to do is activate the extension so that it will enable the payment plans and on the various screens. And then we have the posted sales and posted purchasing documents. So really all it's doing here, if you turn these on, is enabling the comments, which will put a header comment here and then automatically include our lines for the payment plans, which we'll see on our sales orders and invoices, which will be the main focus for our demo today. Like I said, we'll be focusing on the sales side, but like Grant said, it also works exactly the same on the purchasing side. So I would just recommend if you're getting started, use some text like this. The following is your payment installment plan. And then under that, it will show the invoice breakdown for all of those installments. So again, all you've got to do there for the setup, we'll jump next into our payment terms. Again, kind of piggybacking off some out-of-box BC functions. So let's go to payment terms. And after you set up those two things, you're literally ready to go ahead and start using these payment plans. It's that easy. So you'll notice a lot of out-of-box payment plans here, like payment terms here, like 15 days, 30 days, 45 days, things like that. You'll notice I've added 30, 60, 90, and you'll notice that the due date calculation is blank. Why is it blank? Because now we have this ... which will open us up when you click that ellipsis to go into our pay terms installments here. So this is a custom table that we've created, which will then interact with your sales and purchasing documents. So pretty self-explanatory here in terms of the due date. When do you want each installment to be due? So in this case, due on receipt or 0 days, 0D, we're going to have 25% of that total invoice or order be due today. Then another 25% be due in 30 days. And then finally, the last 50% due in 60 days. Now, The first installment doesn't have to be today. It could be 30 days. You don't have to have 3 installments. You could have 10 installments if you want. This is just an open-ended kind of user-defined table. And again, like everything in Business Central, this is just what's going to default onto your transaction. So let's say a customer set up with that 30, 60, 90 payment term with our payment plans, right? That's going to default on their sales order, let's say, and they now have the ability, maybe it's not 25, 25, 50, but they don't have to go create a whole new payment term just to do that. And we'll show that in today's demo. They could make it into 4 installments of 25, 25, 25, 25 as an example. So again, this is just going to serve as a default for the customers that are using the 30, 60, 90 payment terms. If I tried to do something like 60 or 90 days, let's say, and did another 25 here and then try to exit out, it's smart enough to tell you can't be over 100%. So there's some kind of safeguards there for your users. I'm going to delete that so that we can actually process this. And then of course it's got a total of 100. And when it does, I'm able to close that. And now it's going to all show up here. So again, put the code in from your payment terms out of box BC, leave that blank, click the 3 dots and create your payment plan. And now you're ready to go for transacting with these sales orders and sales invoices on the customer side. And again, all the same is going to apply on the purchasing side. Grant, before I jump into that transaction, any questions in the chat box yet for how to set this up? This probably won't take our typical 45 minutes just because of how simple it is to get set up, but very powerful on the back end in terms of what it's doing. Any questions yet before we jump in there?
You're all good to go on this end, Ben?
Awesome. So I've set up a customer for today's session. I've got this Toolbox Tuesday payment plans customer. I've already done a few transactions, just so we'll have a few things in there, but we'll start one from scratch today. Nothing special on the customer card other than coming down to, must have gone past it. There it is, our payments tab. Payment terms here, you'll see that 30, 60, 90 is defaulted. So that's great. When we create a sales order next, all of that will flow through directly to that sales order. And then of course that posted sales invoice when we finally post it. So let's go ahead and create a new document. I'll just create a sales order for the demo case. And we'll do some easy math. Let's do like a $1,200 order. Again, don't need anything special up there. Let's sell them a Microsoft Surface 8. We've got an item pop-up note coming from our advanced notifications extension there. We'll sell this out of our Dallas warehouse. We'll do 1 unit and let's just make it $1,200. So we'll have some easy math there. All right, so this should do a $300, $300, $600 installment plan, and it should be having that $300 due today, another $300 due in 30 days, and that final $600 due at that 60-day mark. So let's scroll down here to our payment terms code. We can see that from the customer card that of course defaulted to that 30, 60, 90. I've got this ellipsis or this 3 dots again here. If I click on that, what it's going to do, it's going to pull in those payment plan terms that we set up on our payment terms that we set up earlier. And again, you could change this one off if you needed to. Like I said, if you had to change this to 25 and do another 25 here, you can kind of do that ad hoc or on the fly and then just close it down. And it'll still say 30, 60, 90. However, it is saving those terms in there. So again, for the demo, let's just do the 30, 60, 90, just so we can show the different amounts so that they're not all 300. But it's as simple as that. It's all going to default, and then you can change that dynamically if needed. So with that, we are ready to go ahead and post this sales order. Now, like Grant mentioned from the PowerPoint, 2 things are going to happen. The first thing is it's going to create a posted sales invoice, and on that invoice, it's going to have 4 comment lines. The first one's going to be that header we put in the setup. The other 3 are going to be the actual amounts due and when they're due. And then the second thing it's going to do is create multiple customer ledger entries for us so that we can easily apply cash to those customer ledger entries. So let's go ahead and post this. I'm just going to ship an invoice the whole thing. It's been posted. Do you want to see the posted invoice? I'm going to go ahead and click yes. I didn't click it. There we go. And now let's scroll down. All righty. So again, first line is going to look like your normal sales order, posted sales invoice, 1017, surface 8, 1 unit for $1,200. You'll notice that the total for my invoice here is $1,200 as well. And the new pieces here that we've got are the payment plan or the installment payment, kind of what's due when, right? So your customer is going to get this. It's going to be customer facing, and it's going to say that the following is your payment plan, installment plan. $300 due on 3/19, $300 due on 4/18, and another $600 due on 5/18, right? So that due on receipt, due 30 days from now, due 60 days from now, right? Again, this is just posting one posted sales invoice for $1,200, but giving the customer the ability to see when those various payments are due. Now, if you're also using our invoice and statement delivery tool, you can have this automatically be sent to those customers when you're posting the document from a dashboard or from the job queue. So you'll see that a lot of our different Business Central Toolbox tools are intertwined, and you can use multiple of them together to really drive and gain a lot of efficiencies. So that's part one. Post the posted sales invoice, and now you see that 3/3/600, 3/19, 4/18, 5/18. Customer gets that. They know exactly when each payment is due. And then if I come back here, the next thing I'm going to look at is my customer ledger entries.
Hey, Ben, we got a question for you too as well.
Yeah, go for it.
All right, so this one looks like it might be two parts, but I'm going to run through the whole thing. Can we do a payment plan for posted invoices? For example, customer has a fixed payment term, but calls our AR team and asks for a plan after receiving the statement from us, as they might be a bit short for full payment.
So currently there is not a way to do that with just a click of a button. We have had other folks ask us about that actually just over recently, the last couple of weeks. So it is something we're looking into, but the solution to do that right now would essentially be to issue a credit memo for the original and then create a new one with those 30, 60, 90 payment terms. And then it would create the new invoice as if it was a payment plan. So that's kind of the workaround right now to get there. But it is something we've been asked before. And as everybody probably knows on the phone, we love getting requests from our customer and partner base, and we're always looking to improve the product. So I'll reach out personally when we have that in the queue to be developed, because we do think it's a good idea, but we would have to use that workaround today. Otherwise, just out of box Business Central, if you didn't want to do that, if it's $10,000, and they submit 5,000, you can always apply it to that original invoice today. It's not really using the full functions of our payment plans tool, but you can always accept, partial payments. You just don't have all the bells and whistles of the additional lines on the invoices and then the additional customer ledger entries like I'm about to show. So hopefully that answers your question. If there's any follow-ups, please drop the follow-ups in the chat, and I'd be happy to answer those as well. Were there any others, Grant, or just that one for now?
Good to go on this end, Ben.
Perfect. So the next thing you'll notice, let's filter down to just this document number. Traditionally in Business Central, right, you're creating one invoice and it's creating one customer ledger entry, which that's, again, that statement question like you mentioned. They look at the statement and they just, need to short pay something like that. This is what's going to show up on the statement, right? So now instead of just showing, hey, you've got one invoice for $1,200 that's outstanding, it will actually show you that, yes, this is one invoice. It'll show the invoice number kind of 3 times there for you since it's coming off the customer ledger entries. However, if I look here at the due dates, right, this is going to be in line with what we just saw on that posted sales invoice. So we've got $300 due on 3/19, another $300 due on 4/18, and the final $600 due on 5/18. The other, more of just a nuance here, but in order to calculate sales, we're just going to toss that $1,200 on that first entry that's created, just so that it doesn't duplicate that sales amount, and that the sales amounts will still be accurate and correct. But this is the other big feature there, right? So now let's say they pay you that $300, or maybe they pay their first 2 installments because they want to early pay just 50% of it. You can just create a traditional cash receipt or deposit and then apply it against these entries individually. So let's go ahead and show that piece. Again, this is just going to be an out of box cash receipt that I'm going to use here. And let's go ahead and apply it to our customer. And now when I go into our applies to doc number, I did a few of these earlier, so let's sort on this. So again, I did a few in an earlier session, but 103, 895 was our document in question here. We've got 300, 600, and 300. So here'd be the 3 entries. I'm going to find the one that's due on 319, and I can simply just go ahead, click OK. It's going to, again, just work like a normal cash receipt. And then we're good to go ahead and just simply post that. Looks like I need a dimension default. Let's add that in real quick. All right, just add myself to the employee. That should post. All right, perfect. And now when we come back in here, we'll see that the remaining amount now has gone to 0 for that line. So that should kind of be the full wrap on everything in terms of what we have here today for our payment plans extension. Like I mentioned, if anybody wants, I can go through kind of a sales invoice. I can go through a purchase order. I can go through a purchase invoice. If anybody wants to do that, it's going to work literally exactly the same as we just saw, right? So the sales invoice is going to work exactly like the sales order. And then the purchase side of things is, of course, using that same payment terms table. So you would, again, default the payment terms onto your vendor and then run through a purchase order or a purchase invoice. And the same exact thing would happen here. Now on your payment journals, you'd have the option to select the 300, 300, 600, whatever you're remitting to your vendor and go that way. But like I mentioned, probably don't need the full time today to go through everything, just because the setup is simple and the way to kind of process everything is very simple as well. Grant, did I miss anything while I went through that? I think it feels short, but I think I've covered everything just with the setups being kind of so streamlined.
No, you're on the money, Ben. Everything we went over in the gaps and solutions, you're good to go.
Awesome. So I know that this was a bonus session, so kind of gave some bonus time, but tried to keep it brief. If anybody else has any questions, please drop them in the chat. Otherwise, Grant will give everybody some time back, and I'll jump back into the PowerPoint so you can bring us home.
Sounds good to me, Ben. So now that we've got an idea of payment plans, setup, how's it work, let's talk about the next steps. So in terms of every single one of our 28 extensions for Business Central Cloud, you do have access to a 30-day free trial. So if you're a partner of ours, go ahead and get that trial downloaded into your demo environment. If you're a user, get payment plans downloaded into your sandbox environment. If you watch our activation video, which we have an entire YouTube channel of walkthroughs, as well as Toolbox Tuesdays, where we'll be posting this one, that's going to give you the quick 90-second look on how to go into your setup page of payment plans, click that generate demo button, and get the most out of your month trialing the payment plans extension. And finally, in terms of resources, like I said, we do have a comprehensive YouTube channel. We have a product page that has pricing for all of our extensions, as well as app source listings that include summaries, screenshots, and technical user setup guides. Think of those as the actual step-by-step with screenshots. And finally, we've got our product guide. If you go on to bctoolbox.com, you can access the product guide. It's got a fit gap for every single one of our extensions, and it will show you the configuration and training time that it typically takes for each one as well. So with that being said, does anybody have any more questions before Ben lands the plane on this one? Does anyone have any reactions? If you want to click your react button, thumbs up, heart, did everyone learn something today? All right, we got some clapping hands, thumbs up. Ben learned something today too. All right, perfect. Back to you, Ben.
Awesome. Yeah. So I'll stick around for a few more minutes if anybody has any additional questions. But again, really appreciate everybody joining our last Toolbox Tuesday for Q1. I'm sure Grant will be sending out the schedule for Q2, where we'll be going through a lot of our most popular apps, as well as a lot of new apps that we published over the last couple of months. Again, main goal to give users those dashboards with that productivity and that automation in Business Central. So again, I'll stick around if anybody has any active clients or themselves that they want to talk through how this could be useful, but just appreciate everybody's time, and we'll talk to everybody soon.